and I just left this in the locker room with them, the middle 2 quarters, and they got to put together some longer stretches of defense. You know what New York's going to bring, and it starts with Cappy. That's the head of the snake. We didn't do a good job there, cutting it off. Panette's back and healthy. They made plays. I remember one specifically. Coming out of a timeout, we cut it, broke down a little bit. The bottom line is we need to put longer stretches of defense together. It can't be sporadic, especially with the teams that we're playing right now.
First quarter, it looked like a different team. And I thought, okay, you guys are back to what you were early in the season. What happened?
It's just defensively. One quarter they shot 57%. It's difficult when you do that. I didn't look at we probably had more points in the paint because of Sylvia, but it just felt like they were getting wide open looks. Not in the first quarter. The first quarter, everyone's moving, but that's to my point in the opening statement, putting those stretches together where the entire game is a stretch of some solid defense, not the gambling. They got in our interior defense a little bit too much. Going under on some screens, you can't make those mistakes with Cappy Pondexter coming off or Lonnie Mitchell can get her feet set. But, to my point, got to put some defense together because you're going to watch some teams are going to put their head down and try to attack you and create a lot of contact. You have to be ready for it.
Pip's going to be okay?
Yeah, she said she actually, during the game, she taped up and said she could go again. There's a couple of minutes left and thought better of it, but that's what she said. Hopefully, she gets some ice on it, some treatment, game ready, and she's not, too bad in the morning, so we'll probably have to wait and see. Yeah, thank you.
So as well, ask yourself one question about the game, or ask the team one question. What was that question?
It wouldn't be one. If I could ask the team one question.
For yourself.
I can ask. What did New York do differently in the second quarter that allowed us to only score 11 points after 21? And I asked that because then you own the responsibility of, did New York do something or did we not do something? And it's not disrespectful. I mean, they beat us, and that's obvious on the scoreboard. But then you're working with something because we were slipping some screens, making some reads off of that. And for whatever reason, we went away from that. And we probably have about 12 sets that help us do that. So that's the thing. You have to be mentally tough enough to go back and do those things that were good to you. So that's the biggest thing. What did New York do? Or what did we not do to continue that in the second quarter?
Does this become mostly a mental game now? I mean, when you start to have problems, is it kind of just everything, the losses, is it all kind of just build on itself, snowball on itself, and when you have problems, everybody kind of just reverts back to that history?
Well, no. I mean, if you're outside, I guess that's what it would look like. But I think, for players, we always talk about it's mental anyway. Mental is the physical as 4 is to 1. It's always a mental game. It's a mental game when you're winning. Recognizing how you're winning and how you're losing. So I guess that could be the case for some individuals, but that's the one thing you go to when someone is struggling. You make sure you find a way to get them out of that. But I can understand this locker room and these players in terms of their fight and wanting to be there. They understand what's at stake. They got another chance to go in at Atlanta, a team that left here with the win against us, and we're all right there. Atlanta, 10, New York's right there. We're right there, so we have to just right the ship.
How difficult is it to, as the losses pile up, to remind them that, hey, you still control your playoff destiny?
Well, it's not difficult to remind them. It's just a matter of carrying it out. I mean, the writing is, on the paper. It's in the standings. You can look at the schedule. So that's the easy part. But, I love Bruce Lee, and I always tell my team to know it's not enough, you must do. So we know the scout. We have to do the scout. And that's what we just keep top of mind. You know the standings, you know the schedule, you know who you're playing, you know how they're playing. You have to go out there and get it done.
What was the deciding factor for Saul?
Panette being back defensively. Game last time against Washington, mix it up a little bit in how they play in terms of their pick and roll, what we're doing defensively, a little bit more speed to move around, and then aggressiveness. I never feel like we're tough as we need to be. And there's the toughness, there's a confidence when we get into pick and roll schemes that the coach brings.
You had an narrow it down to one thing, if you had to narrow it down to one thing, what is the biggest issue with this team right now that is just preventing you guys from breaking through?
Well, that's a fun question. I don't ever think it's one thing.
The biggest thing.
But see, consistency takes care of different areas. Consistency takes care of defense, takes care of offense, it takes care of knocking shots down. I think consistency, because most people have inconsistent games. We have inconsistent halves, inconsistent quarters, fiery 5 minutes, and then a rolling 5 minutes. So I think the consistency, and you're seeing positive results. Keep doing those things and have the confidence and the fortitude, the strength, and mental toughness to keep doing those things, and then you positive results.
Do you try to get radical, like maybe just give the ladies a day off, try to have fun? Do you kind of try to pull something out of your hat a little bit to just mix this up, to shake things up, wake them up a little bit?
Those type things, these questions come obviously when you're struggling, but coaches do those things when you're winning as well. It's just a feel, a read, what's important now. That's my acronym for win. What's important now, and that changes day to day, game to game, player to player. How we travel tonight, we getting there on time, how's Piff ankle doing? So it's just, I understand what you're saying, but that's something that you do when the sun is shining, not just when it's raining. You kind of keep them fresh. You try to build confidence and cohesiveness, all those things. But the thing about the players in that locker room, they're going to come together. They're going to fight. They just have to put it together a little bit longer.